So today we're going over plant anatomy. Okay, this is important for understanding the processes that we're going to talk about plants. So mostly how water and sugars move through plants is what we'll talk about next time. Also, if you're interested in taking botany, I'm offering that next fall.
It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Just going to catch so many plants. It'll be fun. All right, so we're going to start at different levels. We'll start with the different cell types. Okay, tracheids and vessels. These are part of the xylem. Okay, xylem moves water. Okay. All right, and when these are mature, they are dead. All right. All right, tracheids, they just kind of look like worms that were like squished together, and they have holes in them. But they basically make a network of tubes that are all stuck together and tightly packed like a straw. Okay, but they're made of little individual cells. Okay, vessels are similar. They're a little wider, and they have this plate on top, which connects it to the next vessel. But also, dead at maturity, they are functionally need to be a sealed environment, so it doesn't have any holes in it. Or at least with its surrounding cells, so it can create a continuous flow of water. All right, the sieve tube elements are alive at maturity. Okay, and they have this porous sieve plate. Okay, and then this is the sieve tube part. And then they also have cells surrounding them called companion cells. Okay, and the companion cells help to move fluid in and out, and then also helps the sugars in and out. It may actively or passively transport them in and out of the sieve tube elements. All right, so these together are vascular cells, right? And so the tracheids and vessels make the xylem, and the sieve tube elements make the phloem. Together they make your vascular cells, your vasculature. Similar to blood vessels, but they aren't moving blood, they're moving water and sugars and anything dissolved in the water. All right, but there's lots of other cells in plants as well, including parenchymal cells. Okay, I'll spell that again because it's pretty messy. Parenchymal cells. And these are the functional cells. So this is where a lot of chloroplasts are, so photosynthesis occurs here. And any other of the metabolic functions that the plant needs to stay alive occurs in the parenchymal cells. All right, the collenchymal cells. These are structural. But they're found in shoots. Or the growing parts of cells, okay? And they remain there as it matures, but they are concentrated in the areas that are growing, so they're supportive to those growing cells. Sclerenchyma cells are also structural. Okay, but they have lots of lignin. Okay, if it has lots of lignin, what does that mean? Okay, not necessarily tall, but very rigid. So it offers a lot of structural support. So yeah, there's a lot of these in like bark or the interior of trees. It needs to be really hard and support a lot of weight, right? So let's say support.
If you just zoom in really quickly, so
Okay, so what cells would you find a lot of chloroplasts in? Yeah, parenchyma cells, 'cause that's where photosynthesis is going to occur, mostly. All right, move on to organs. All right, so you don't really think of organs with plants, usually associate those with animals, but plants are animals too, okay? Not really, no. Plants have organs too. Okay? All right, so we have our below ground, our root system. And this plant that I'm drawing here has a taproot. Okay, which is a big, thick root that dicots have, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, but taproots also have lateral roots coming off of them. Some of these look different. Taproot, lateral roots. All right, so if you think of a carrot is a big old taproot. Okay, when you pull it out of the ground, it'll often have little stringy lateral roots coming off of it. When you buy it out of the store, it doesn't really have those lateral roots on them. But all right, above ground, then we're going to have a beautiful plant here. And at the end, we have a bud. This is the terminal bud. So this is the area of growth. And actually, we're going to use a different term. Apical. Okay, it's also a terminal bud.
Okay.
This is the term used in your book, apical bud. And off of here, you'll have leaves. Okay, and the leaf has the big flat part, which is the blade, and the little stalk, which is called the petiole. And then it will also have a little bud where it started growing which also starts with an A, and it's axillary. Okay, came to me last second. The axillary bud. Okay? Now it'll have another leaf growing up here. And this is all part of then the shoot system. So we have the roots below ground and the shoot above ground, generally speaking. There's a lot of modifications between them. Now where the leaf grows, okay, this part is called the node. Okay, here's another node here where the leaf is growing out. So that means this section between the nodes is called the internode. And so this then, if it has nodes and it has internodes, it has places where leaves are growing out of it, then it is called a stem.
But if it doesn't, but it looks like a stem.
Then it's not a stem.
Okay.
So for example, potatoes, the little eyes of the potatoes, those are nodes. And then the periods between the eyes are the internodes. So a potato is actually a stem. Just blow your mind, I know, right? But a sweet potato does not have nodes and internodes. It grows differently. It's not really the same family as potatoes. It is not a stem. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't have, it kind of looks like it, but it doesn't have the eyes of the potatoes. Okay, and so the leaves, if you plant the potato, the leaves will grow out of those little nodes and then up above ground. Okay? You also may have, before or even accessory to, a little flower. Which is basically a modified leaf. The reproductive structure growing off of the plant. And we already know all the flower parts, right? From last week. All right, so those are the organs of a plant. You know, the cells of the plant. Organs. We're going to keep going. Talk about tissue. So we actually kind of went out of order, but the dermal tissue is your epidermis. So this is the outer covering. And on a leaf, this is a little cross section. We did a cross section of the leaf. Okay, it would be this outer part. Okay, so there are structures on the epidermis such as the stomata, okay, the cuticle. Okay, if we did a cut of the stem here, the epidermis would be that outer layer. And same thing of the root down here. All right, and then the vascular system, what were the two cell types which made vascular system? Well, sorry, no, I'll just do it. The xylem and the phloem. I asked that question wrong. You were right. All right, and the xylem and the phloem, that's moving water and sugar and any dissolved nutrients to the plant. Okay, in the leaf, that's going to be like right in the middle, that middle vein there. It may have some accessory, right, veins there. In the stem, they're going to be bundled together. And in the roots, they'll be concentrated to the middle. All right, so the ground tissue then is the functional and supportive tissue. So this is where you get a lot of the parenchymal cells and sclerenchymal cells, and are usually found in what's called the pith or the cortex and medulla. It's basically filling anything that's not epidermal or vascular. Okay. And so those are your tissues. We got cells, tissues, organs. Yep.
Okay, so with like the middle part on the stem,
Mhm.
it kind of to me looks like celery. So does celery fit into the stem? Or-
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Then the leaves come off the top. Yeah, we'll see a picture of celery later. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this. These are two major groups within angiosperms, monocots and dicots. Okay, and you can tell the difference between the two based on, we're going to look at the arrangement of cells within the roots and stems, and then there are other characteristics as well. Okay, so in the roots, you have this circular layer called the endodermis. The outer layer is the epidermis. In dicots, the xylem makes this X-like structure. Okay, and then the phloem is around it. Oh, I should draw like that. Okay, in the monocots, the xylem and the phloem has less structure. Doesn't give you that X. Okay, but that's the biggest difference in the roots. If you look at the xylem and you see this X structure, you know it's a dicot. Okay? In the stems, though, the xylem and the phloem in dicots forms this ring. Okay, where the xylem is on the inside and the phloem is on the outside. And in monocots, it's not structured, they're just scattered. So this xylem and phloem together, these are vascular bundles. In a ring in dicots and then scattered in monocots.
So they, for both of them, they're in bundles, they're kind of like half.
Yeah,
Okay.
half xylem, half phloem.
And does the xylem face the middle always?
Yeah, generally, yeah. Xylem on the inside, phloem on the outside. And there are other cells packed in there as well. But. So if you go out and you break a stem in half, you could tell, if you can see all these parts, you can tell whether it's a dicot or a monocot based on the arrangement of the xylem and phloem with all the other tissues, all the other cells. Okay, so those are some structural differences. There are some other ones as well. Okay, monocots have adventitious roots, and dicots have taproots. Okay, we already talked about what this looks like, right? This is a big root. And then their roots just look like this. They don't have one big central one. It's just scattered. All right, when you look at the leaves in dicots, the veins are scattered, okay, or net-like. Say branching veins. Whereas you look at the leaves in monocots, and the veins are all parallel. So one of the reasons why they're named this, it's referring to the cotyledons. So if you remember, we had that in the angiosperm life cycle. So in a seed, okay, here's a seed here. A dicot will have 2 cotyledons, which are going to become the first leaves. So when it germinates, the first thing that'll poke out are its 2 little leaves as it matures. Whereas in a monocot, it just has 1 cotyledon. So when it emerges out of the soil, it'll just have 1 little leaf poking out. Okay, if you look at their pollen grains, they have little openings on them. In dicots, it has 3 openings. It just kind of looks like grooves. In monocots, they just have 1 little opening. Okay, and the last one we'll put on here, there's actually a lot more, but this is all we're going to do. In monocots, the flowers have the floral organs are in multiples of 3. So they'll have 3 leaves or 3 stamen, or 6 or 9. Okay, but in dicots, they're going to have the floral organs in multiples of 4 or 5. Or 8 or 10. If it has 12, then you don't know. It would be either. But usually they don't have 12. 12 petals is a lot. Usually 3, 4, or 5. 3 is monocots, 4 or 5 is dicots. Okay? So now you know monocots, dicots, cells, tissues, organs, everything.